Across the Channel, Britain's political rulers were horrified by the French Revolution. The British had very different ideas about liberty and would fight long wars at sea and on land against Napoleon to defend them. But the highest ideals of the British Enlightenment would also fail to measure up as they explored the world and encountered new peoples. The Australian Aborigines were nomadic hunter-gatherers. In the 18th century, there were up to 1 million of them, with around 250 different languages. They'd lived here for perhaps 50,000 years. The rest of human history wasn't even a rumour. Then strange white creatures turned up.
In 1770, Captain James Cook had discovered New South Wales and claimed it for Britain. A brilliant navigator, Cook came from a humble background and he greatly admired the natives for their lack of material greed. They have no need of magnificent houses and household stuff, he wrote, and with a wonderful climate they had no need of clothing. Noble savages. But Cook was a servant of the British Crown, and after the loss of her American colonies, Britain desperately needed somewhere else to dump her convicts.
The first European settlement in Australia was a prison camp. It was named after the British Home Secretary, Viscount Sidney. But this was also an Enlightenment project. Britain had some 200 crimes punishable by death. The hanging of hundreds of people, including women and children, was making an enlightened society queasy. Sending convicts overseas seemed more humane. And so there came to Australia people like Elizabeth Powley, who'd stolen a few shillings worth of bacon and raisins, and James Grace, who'd taken 10 yards of ribbon and a pair of silk stockings. He was 11 years old. Captain Arthur Phillip was the first governor of Australia. He ran a tough regime for the convicts.
How are they doing this morning?
Hard at work.
But his attitude towards the Aborigines was more benevolent.
You see that up there?
Native peoples were to be respected, studied, and understood.
Governor Phillip was an Enlightenment man who was determined there should be no slavery in this new land and that the natives would be treated with respect. In fact, he had personal instructions from King George III himself, who wanted all our subjects to live in amity and kindness with the natives.